In this video, we are going to learn the form validation through JS. This is the basic form we are having with the basic fields. When we all the validations will occur when we submit the form. The whenever an error occurs, it will give an alert message. This is for the first field name. Enter only alphabets length 3 to 30. Okay. Whenever an error comes in a field, it will get highlighted like this. The border will be red and the color will be red. If I put the right, if I put a valid value in this, it will change the color and the border to normal. If I submit the form, I will get an error for the next field, that is the phone number. Enter exactly 10 numbers. If I put 10 numbers in this, then there will be no error. Enter 2 or 3 numbers in age. Similarly, I'll get an error for email. Enter a valid email. For password also. The password and re-enter password fields should match. Passwords do not match. If I put any value, again it will give an error. The value should be same. Select gender. Select at least 2 hobbies. And there you go. The form is submitted. When there is no error in any field, the form will be submitted. This simple validation is applied using JavaScript. This is the HTML of the form, basic HTML, and this is the CSS. This is the JS file. I have created regular expressions for all the fields. Now we will learn how to match the fields value with these regular expressions to get the validations working. First of all, I will link this JS file to the HTML file using the script tag. All these validations will occur on the submission of form. So firstly, we will take the form in an element. On this submit, we will perform all the validations. Before this, on form submission, there is a default event, that is the page is reloaded and the form data is submitted to other page. We will prevent that action by using prevent default function. And with this alert, we are checking whether our JavaScript is working properly or not. This alert shows that our JavaScript is working on the form submission. Now we will apply all the validations. To perform the validation, we have to take the element values in variables. Here, to all the fields, I have given name. name. Whatever the field is, I have given a name. With this name attribute, we will get the fields in JavaScript. As we are having multiple radio buttons here, one is for male and one is for female, we will use document.query selector all to select both the radio buttons. Here we will use the type attribute to select this element. Similarly, we will do for checkboxes. We have taken all the fields in all the elements, form elements in variables named phone, email, age, password, confirm password, radios, and checkboxes. Now we have to check these elements against these expressions. To prevent the redundancy of code, we will make a function for checking the element with the value, element with the expression. I'm creating a function check for this purpose. First, it will take some parameters. Firstly, the element which needs to be checked, the expression against which it needs to be checked, and a message which we will show if an error comes. For condition, we will use if element dot value, the value of the element, whatever we have taken in the variable, if that matches with the expression, if this is true, now whenever an error comes, the input box border will be red and the font color will also be red. For this purpose, I have created a class in CSS invalid. Whenever an input field with invalid class gets the focus on it, its border will be red to px solid and the font color will also be red. We will add this class to the element with JavaScript whenever an error comes. This is the condition when there is no error, so we will remove the class from this element. And if an error comes, that is, if this condition is false, that means the value is not valid, we will add this class to the element. Also, the CSS will be added only whenever the focus is on this element. So we will get the focus on this element also. We will alert a message. Before focus, we will alert a message and return false. This is the basic function which will be called with all these fields. How? Let me show you. We are checking whether this function will return true or false. On that basis, we will submit the form or not submit the form. Name the element which we need to pass. With this element, this name expression will be checked. Second parameter will be the name expression. And third will be a message. This message can be anything which you need to alert. Length, whatever you have given, 3 to 50 or 330. Let's check this with one element only, and if no error will come, we will continue this method for rest of the elements. If this is true, the form will be submitted, otherwise we will get an alert message. Let's check. If I submit, let's open the console. If any error comes, we will see in the console. Okay, we are getting a message. Enter a valid name, length 3 to 50. Whatever message I have given here, I will get this. So the code works, right? If I put a valid name, I am putting my name. My name is Priya. If I put a valid name in this field, the form should get submitted. The code works, right? The form is submitted. Now we will continue this procedure with rest of the fields. For phone, the message will be enter 10 digit. Whatever length I have put here, 6 to 30, I will put here. Hmm. So I had created these expressions and I have checked these expressions against the required fields. Now comes the password and re-enter password fields. The values should match. This function will not work for this validation. What we need. I will create another function for checking the value of this password field and the confirm password field. Let's make a function check2 for this. I will need two elements, element 1 and element 2. Element 1 will be the password and element 2 will be the confirm password field. A message. I have to simply check whether element 1 is equal to element 2. Okay. Element dot value should match. In element only the element is coming. I have to check the value. Okay. If this matches, I have to do the same thing as I have done in the check. I have to remove the invalid class from this field. And I have to return true. If this condition is false, that is, if these values does not matches, what I have to show, I have to add the class invalid to this element, alert the message, and also have to, after alerting, I have to put the focus on this field. Also, I have to return false. Check 2, which will matches these two values. So if my password is valid, if my password, whatever I have entered in this field is valid, I have to check, I have to call the next function what I have created, that is check2 with password and confirm password field, and if the it does not matches, I have to show this uh, message password do not match. We have checked this function. Let's check this function also. Form dot. If all these validations works and also the password and confirm password fields are same, the form will get submitted. Before proceeding further, let's check whether our code works properly or not. If there will be any error, we will see it in the console. Let's submit it. Enter a valid name. That is, let's put my name again. We should get a number message, a number error, enter 10-digit phone number. Let's put 10-digit number, age. We are getting an error. Let's put it 12. Email error. Let's put a password error. Let's put any password. Okay, passwords do not match. Whatever function I have created, check2 I have created, that also works properly. The form is submitted. When all my values, all the elements have valid values, and both these values matches, the form will get submitted. Now let's make validations for these two also, for gender and hobbies. For gender and hobbies, both these functions will not work, so I have to create another function check3. In this, I have to check that one radio button should be checked and at least two checkboxes should be checked. In element, I will get the radio button or checkbox, whichever is checked. I have to give a message, an alert message, and here I will use another variable, um, valid element count. In this, I will check in this valid element count variable. I need to check whether I have to check. I need to get a value to know whether I have to check radio buttons or checkboxes. In radio buttons, in the case of radio buttons, this will be one because I need only one radio button to be checked. And in the case of hobbies, the this valid element count should be two because I need at least two hobbies to be checked. Now let's create the logic. For this, I have to check whether the element whichever is checked it is one or two. It needs to be either one or two. To keep a count on the on the elements which are checked, I will create a variable count. I will initialize it with 0. I will use for each loop to iterate to the number of elements checked. In this 64, 65, 66 lines, what I'm doing is I'm getting the element through the for each loop, the number of elements. I will iterate through the number of elements using this for each loop whenever the whenever the element, whatever I'm getting in this is checked. Whenever a checkbox or a radio button is checked, this variable will get incremented. If radio button is checked, this variable will be 1. If checkboxes is checked, this is 1, 2, 3, depending upon the number of checkboxes whichever are checked. Now I will check this variable to know how many boxes are checked or how many radio buttons are checked. If count, whatever this value is, if count is greater than or equal to valid element count, that is 1 in the case of radio buttons and 2 in the case of checkboxes. If this is greater than this, that means my code is working. I am getting the proper values, valid values. I will remove the class from each of the elements. In this, I have to pass current to get the element. I have to remove the class. Whatever I have done in this true block, I will repeat the same. If this condition is true, that is the count is greater than or equal to the valid element count, that is 1 in the case of radio buttons and 2 in the case of checkboxes, I will remove the class from this element, the invalid class. Also, I will return true here. Else, if this condition is not true, that means if the radio button is not checked or at least two hobbies are not checked, I will add the invalid class to the elements. Also, I will alert the message and I will return false. Here goes our logic. Now I have to call this function with radio buttons and checkboxes. It needs an element, a message, and a valid element count. In the case of this, I have to call check3 with radio buttons, whatever I have created this variable radios. The message in the case of radio buttons is select gender and the valid element count is 1 because I need only one radio button to be checked. Okay, let's perform this also. In the case of checkboxes, the message will be I forgot to call the function check3 checkboxes. I need to create one more parenthesis here. In the case of checkboxes, the function will be the message will be select at least two hobbies. And the valid element count will be 2 because I need at least two hobbies to be selected. If all this works properly, I need the form to get submitted. Let's hope our code works right. I have saved this code, going to the browser, having my console open. Let's reload the page to check if the code works right or not. I've already checked these are working properly, so I will put the values. I'm putting some random password which contains all the values need to be checked in the regular expression. Now I'm not putting any radio button check or checkboxes. I got an error. Element.forEach is not a function. Okay, let's check what is the error. Okay, I have put here type checkboxes. It should be working. So I need to worry about this. Whenever I check this, I again get a message for the checkboxes. Again getting message that means I have to select at least two hobbies. If all the fields are correct, I am getting no error and my form is submitted. Let's check it again if the message is working or not. Now I'm getting the message. This message. Whatever I have passed here, I will get. Select gender. If I select one gender, I cannot select another. I can only select one as this is the radio button. The next message is select at least three hobbies. Okay, I have put three hobbies here. I have to do this too. If I select at least two hobbies, it will work. So this is our basic validation through JavaScript.